What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Silent Path. In today's video, we're going to talk about why so many modern men feel lost, distracted, unmotivated, and disconnected from themselves, and what the samurai understood about discipline, purpose, and inner strength that still applies today. This video is not about glorifying the past. It's about learning timeless lessons that can help us navigate modern life with more focus, resilience, and self-control. I'll be breaking down 6 samurai principles and connecting them directly to the struggles many men face today. Things like distraction, lack of purpose, comfort, addiction, inconsistency, and emotional instability. If any of these lessons resonate with you, let me know in the comments below, because I genuinely read them and appreciate hearing your perspective. Now let's begin.
There has never been a time in history where men had more convenience, yet felt more empty. Modern men are surrounded by entertainment, but lack purpose, connected to thousands online, yet feel alone internally. Many wake up every day feeling disconnected from themselves. No direction, no discipline, no deeper meaning. And because of this, many drift through life, unconsciously, scrolling, escaping, distracting themselves from the uncomfortable truth. They no longer know who they are becoming. But centuries ago, the samurai lived by principles that gave men something modern society struggles to provide: purpose, clarity, discipline, inner strength. The samurai understood that a man without direction becomes vulnerable to weakness, distraction, and self-destruction. And in this video, you will learn 6 powerful samurai lessons that can help modern men reclaim focus, identity, discipline, and meaning in a world designed to keep them distracted. If you are serious about changing your life and walking the path of discipline, comment "I walk with purpose" and subscribe to support the channel and join a growing community of men choosing self-mastery over distraction. Lesson 1. A man without purpose will always feel lost. The samurai always lived by mission. Every action had meaning. Every sacrifice served a larger purpose. Their lives were organized around discipline, honor, and responsibility. Modern men often feel lost because they are moving through life without direction. They wake up reacting instead of leading. Without purpose, the mind naturally drifts toward distraction. The definition of purpose is a meaningful direction that gives structure to your life and meaning to your suffering. Purpose answers the question, what kind of man am I becoming? Without purpose, discipline fades, motivation disappears, distraction grows stronger, because the human mind needs something meaningful to pursue. Here is a modern-day example. A modern man spends years scrolling endlessly, chasing validation, consuming entertainment, escaping responsibility. But deep down, he feels empty, not because he lacks potential, but because he lacks direction. Another man lives differently. He trains his body, builds skills, develops discipline, pursues growth intentionally. His life gains momentum because his energy has direction. The moral of the story: purpose protects the mind from meaningless distraction. The samurai understood. A focused man becomes difficult to control because his energy is no longer scattered. How you can put this in practical application? Ask yourself, what am I building my life toward? What kind of man do I want to become? What deserves my energy? Then align your habits with those answers, because purpose is not found overnight. It is built through responsibility and action. Lesson 2. Comfort is making modern men weak. The samurai understood something modern society desperately tries to avoid. A comfortable life often creates a weak mind. Not weak physically alone, but weak mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Because when a man spends his entire life avoiding discomfort, he slowly loses the ability to endure hardship. And hardship is unavoidable. Life will eventually test every man. Failure, rejection, loneliness, stress, pressure, loss. The samurai prepared for this reality long before it arrived. That is why they willingly embraced difficult training. They trained in the cold, in the rain, through exhaustion, through pain. Not because they enjoyed suffering, but because they understood something modern men have forgotten. Discomfort builds resilience. Every difficult moment strengthened the warrior's spirit. Every challenge increased emotional control. Every hardship sharpened discipline. But modern society moves in the opposite direction. Today, most people are trained to escape discomfort immediately. The moment boredom appears, they grab their phone. The moment stress appears, they seek distraction. The moment life becomes difficult, they quit. And slowly, the mind becomes dependent on comfort. This is why many modern men feel mentally exhausted, despite living easier lives than most humans in history. Because convenience has removed struggle. And without struggle, discipline begins to disappear. A man who constantly chooses comfort eventually loses confidence in his ability to endure adversity. And deep down, he knows it. That is why comfort can become dangerous. Not because comfort itself is evil, but because too much comfort slowly weakens the mind's ability to handle pressure. The samurai viewed hardship differently. Pain was preparation. The obstacle was the training. And this mindset changes everything. Because once a man stops seeing discomfort as something negative, he begins growing through it instead of running from it. That is why disciplined men voluntarily do difficult things. They train when tired, work when unmotivated, stay focused when distracted, remain calm under pressure. Not because it feels good, but because discipline strengthens identity. Modern men often wait until they feel motivated. The samurai would have considered that dangerous. Because motivation is temporary, but discipline remains even when emotion disappears. And the truth is, every time you willingly endure discomfort, you prove to yourself that weakness does not control you. That is how resilience is built. Not through comfort, but through repeated moments of controlled difficulty. The modern world constantly tells men to seek ease. The samurai taught the opposite. A meaningful life requires resistance, because strength is forged under pressure. Lesson 3. Discipline creates identity. Most men do not realize this, but your daily habits slowly become your identity. The samurai understood this deeply. They knew a man is not transformed by one dramatic moment. He is transformed by repetition, by what he consistently does when nobody is watching. Modern men often believe identity comes first. They say, I want to become disciplined. I want to become confident. I want to become focused. But the samurai understood the opposite. Action creates identity, not intention alone. A man becomes disciplined by repeatedly acting with discipline. He becomes focused by repeatedly protecting his attention. He becomes strong by repeatedly enduring difficulty. This is why the samurai trained the same movements thousands of times, not only to master combat, but to master themselves. Every repetition strengthened patience, precision, consistency, control. And over time, discipline stopped feeling like effort. It became who they were. Modern men struggle because many are trapped in cycles of inconsistency. One week they feel motivated. The next week they disappear. They rely entirely on emotion to determine action. But emotions constantly change. The samurai never built their lives on unstable emotions. They built their lives on systems, rituals, and discipline. Because discipline creates internal stability, and stability creates confidence. This is why so many men feel disconnected from themselves today. They constantly break promises to themselves. They say they will start improving, stay focused, wake up earlier, change their habits, but they repeatedly abandon themselves. And every broken promise slowly weakens self-respect. That damage becomes internal, because eventually a man stops trusting himself. The samurai understood. Self-respect is earned through action. Every disciplined habit becomes evidence. Evidence that you are capable. Evidence that you can endure discomfort. Evidence that you can rely on yourself under pressure. And once a man truly trusts himself, his confidence no longer depends on outside validation. That is real power, not appearance, not status, not attention, but internal certainty. And that certainty is built slowly through consistent discipline. This is why small habits matter, because every repeated action is shaping identity, whether you realize it or not. Every distraction strengthens distraction. Every disciplined action strengthens discipline. The question is, what are your habits training you to become? Because whether consciously or unconsciously, you are always becoming someone. Lesson 4. Silence builds inner strength. The modern world fears silence, because silence forces self-awareness, and self-awareness is uncomfortable for many people. The samurai spent long periods alone, in meditation, in reflection, in stillness, because they understood something powerful. A distracted mind cannot hear itself clearly. Modern society constantly floods the mind with stimulation, notifications, entertainment, opinions, noise, and many men become so overstimulated that they lose connection with themselves completely. That is why so many people today feel internally restless. The moment silence appears, they immediately escape it. They open their phone, turn on music, search for distraction, because silence exposes what distraction hides: fear, confusion, lack of purpose, emotional pain. The samurai never ran from this. They faced themselves directly, because a man who understands himself becomes far more difficult to control. Silence sharpens awareness. It allows a man to observe his thoughts, his emotions, his habits, his weaknesses. Without self-awareness, growth becomes impossible. Most modern men are constantly reacting without reflection. They consume endlessly but rarely think deeply. And eventually, the mind becomes fragmented. The samurai protected their mental clarity carefully. That is why stillness mattered. Because clarity creates focus, and focus creates power. A man who constantly seeks outside noise eventually loses inner direction. But a man comfortable with silence develops emotional control, patience, awareness, wisdom. This is also why the strongest men often speak less. They are not desperate for validation. They are grounded internally. the samurai understood. Real power does not need constant attention. And in today's world, where nearly everyone is fighting to be seen, silence itself becomes strength. Lesson 5. Mastery requires sacrifice. The samurai understood a truth modern society tries to ignore. You cannot build an exceptional life while constantly choosing comfort and distraction. Every form of mastery requires sacrifice. Every disciplined man sacrifices something: time, pleasure, comfort, ease. But modern culture promotes the opposite. It teaches people to prioritize instant gratification, immediate pleasure, constant entertainment, quick dopamine, and slowly, many men lose the ability to focus deeply on anything meaningful, because attention becomes fragmented. The samurai viewed attention as sacred. Where attention goes, life follows. That is why they protected their focus carefully. A distracted warrior becomes vulnerable. The same is true today. Modern men are constantly being pulled in every direction. Social media, endless content, validation, comparison, pleasure, escapism. And without realizing it, many sacrifice their future for temporary comfort. The disciplined man makes the opposite decision. He sacrifices temporary comfort for long-term growth. That is what separates transformation from stagnation. The samurai understood. Every meaningful goal demands a price, and most people never become stronger because they are unwilling to pay it. They want the reward without the sacrifice, the discipline without discomfort, the confidence without preparation, the success without consistency. But strength cannot be borrowed. It must be earned repeatedly, and earning it requires sacrifice. Sometimes sacrifice means removing distractions. Sometimes it means walking alone. Sometimes it means being misunderstood while you improve yourself quietly. The samurai accepted this because they understood. Temporary loneliness is better than permanent weakness. And the truth is, every decision you make is shaping your future identity. The question is, are your daily choices strengthening you or weakening you? Lesson 6. The strongest man masters himself. The samurai believed the greatest battle a man will ever fight is not against another person, but against himself, against his impulses, his emotions, his fears, his distractions, his weaknesses. Modern men are often taught to seek control over external things: status, attention, money, validation, power over others. But the samurai understood something much deeper. A man who cannot control himself will eventually be controlled by everything around him. That is why self-mastery was one of the highest forms of strength in samurai philosophy. Because true power begins internally. The ability to remain calm when angry, focused when distracted, disciplined when unmotivated, patient when frustrated. Most people today live reactively. Their emotions control their behavior. A notification changes their attention. An opinion changes their mood. A difficult moment destroys their discipline. The samurai trained themselves to respond intentionally instead of reacting emotionally. That difference is enormous because reaction is unconscious, but response requires awareness and control. Modern society constantly attacks attention. Every platform fights for emotion, stimulation, and distraction. And many men slowly lose control of their own minds without realizing it. Their attention becomes fragmented. Their emotions become unstable. Their habits become impulsive, and eventually they no longer feel in control of themselves. This is why so many men feel mentally exhausted today. Not because they are physically fighting battles, but because their minds are constantly overwhelmed. The samurai protected mental clarity carefully. They understood. What controls your mind controls your life. That is why discipline mattered so deeply. Discipline was not punishment. It was freedom, because a disciplined man is no longer controlled by every temporary feeling or impulse. He chooses his actions consciously. The samurai also understood that self-mastery requires awareness. A man must learn to observe himself honestly, to recognize his weaknesses, his emotional triggers, his destructive habits, his excuses, his fears. Without self-awareness, improvement becomes impossible. Most people avoid looking inward because it is uncomfortable, but the samurai face themselves directly. Because growth requires honesty, and honesty requires courage. A man who masters himself develops something rare in the modern world: inner stability. He becomes harder to manipulate, harder to distract, harder to break emotionally, not because he feels no emotion, but because emotion no longer controls him. This is why the samurai valued calmness so highly. Calmness is not weakness, it is controlled strength. A calm man thinks clearly under pressure. He makes better decisions. He protects his energy carefully, and he remains grounded while others lose control around him. The modern world constantly rewards emotional reaction. The samurai rewarded emotional discipline, and over time, that discipline became power. Because the strongest man is not the loudest man, or the most aggressive. It is the man who can maintain control of himself in difficult moments. That is real strength. And in today's world, it has become increasingly rare. That is why self-mastery is no longer optional. It is necessary. Because if you do not control your mind, something else eventually will. Modern society profits from distracted men. Men without discipline, without purpose, without self-control. But the samurai understood that strength begins internally. Not through ego, not through appearance, but through discipline, resilience, and self-mastery. The question is, will you continue drifting through life unconsciously, or will you finally choose purpose? If this message resonated with you, comment, "I walk with purpose," and subscribe to support the channel and join a community of men rejecting distraction and choosing discipline. Because your future changes the moment you decide to master yourself. Walk the path